If a man in worn-out clothes walked into a car showroom, would you welcome him in or look for a polite way to send him out? You won't believe who he really is. A crisp autumn morning in the suburbs of Chicago carried with it that familiar chill in the air, and dew still clung to the windshield as a silver Camry rolled quietly to a stop in front of Maxwell Motors, location number 5. No one inside the showroom paid attention to the man stepping out of the car. Faded denim jacket, worn khaki pants, scuffed sneakers, and a grey knit beanie pulled low over a face partly hidden beneath a rough beard. To a casual passerby, he looked like an out-of-work laborer or a long-haul driver hoping to find a used pickup truck and start over. No one recognized him as Logan Maxwell, CEO of the Maxwell Motors dealership chain, heir to a multi-million-dollar legacy left by his late father, a man once featured on the cover of Midwest Forbes, and today he wasn't here as an executive. He was here as someone betrayed by his own system. Just a few days earlier, Logan had received an anonymous email. No subject line, no sender, just one sentence. If you still care about the Maxwell name, go to location 5 and hear the truth for yourself. No one else in the company knew about that message. No one knew that Logan had been quietly reviewing internal reports, reopening ignored customer feedback, digging through masked dissatisfaction buried beneath misleading averages. It all led him here, to a showroom that looked as perfect as every other Maxwell location, yet had generated more complaints in the past 6 months than any other branch. Logan entered the showroom at a slow, steady pace, the overhead lights reflecting off the gleaming white tile floor as his muddy shoes left faint marks behind. No one looked up to greet him. The reception desk was unattended. One employee was laughing with a coworker near the coffee machine, and the manager, according to the name tag on his blazer, was locked into his phone screen inside a glass-walled office. Logan took it all in with silent eyes. He didn't expect a grand welcome, but he hadn't anticipated this level of complete disregard. He walked toward the pickup truck display, stopping beside a glossy black F-150, the exact model he had signed off to be delivered 3 months ago. This was the same vehicle noted in last week's maintenance report, listed as recently serviced with fresh oil and brake checks. "Looking for a truck, sir?" a voice said behind him, followed by a friendly pat on the shoulder. A tall man, hair slicked back, wearing a bright white shirt with a name tag. Travis. He smiled, a bit forced, ready to close the deal. "You came to the right place. This one right here, we just put in a brand new engine last week. I swear, drives like a dream." Logan squinted. A chill ran down his spine. Not from the cold, but from that sentence. It wasn't an exaggeration. It was a lie. Bold, confident, and dangerous. Logan nodded, concealing the anger now rising in his chest. He said nothing, didn't reveal his identity. He kept observing, waiting to see what other dirt would surface beneath the showroom's polished shine. And he didn't have to wait long. A voice spoke up behind them, trembling but firm. "That's not true, Travis. This truck has never had its engine replaced." Logan turned around and met the serious gaze of a young woman in a showroom uniform, her name tag reading Jade. No one in the building knew it yet, but with that single sentence, she had just triggered a series of events that would change this place forever. Jade stood tall, clutching her notepad tightly, her eyes unflinching in the face of Travis's deepening scowl. She pointed directly at the F-150, her voice steady and clear. "That truck only had an oil change. I personally updated the maintenance log last week." The air in the showroom fell into a vacuum of silence. Logan tilted his head, watching Travis's reaction shift from confusion to annoyance, then quickly morph back into a crooked smile. "Jade, there's no need to get involved," Travis muttered, turning back to Logan with a falsely apologetic tone. "Sorry about that, sir. Seems there's a little misunderstanding here. New hire, still getting used to how things work." But Jade didn't back down. She shook her head slightly, her voice quieter now, but no less firm. "I've been here almost a year, and I can't let you lie to a customer." Logan glanced at her again. In her eyes, he saw something rarely captured in sales reports: integrity, a quality no training program could teach. Travis gave a dry chuckle, then shrugged and looked at Logan. "You know how it is, right? People want to hear their used car drives like new. It's like telling my wife she cooks better than my mom. Sometimes you just say things to keep the peace." He laughed loudly, full of misplaced confidence, but Logan didn't join in. He was taking note of everything, every word, every smirk, not with a recorder, but with the precise memory of a man who once dismantled an entire competitor over the handshake that didn't feel right. "So what kind of warranty do I get if I buy this one?" Logan asked casually, voice laced with curiosity. Without hesitation, Travis replied, "Full 12-month coverage, parts and labor, no extra fees." Logan nodded slowly, but inside he could feel his composure beginning to crack. The dealership's standard contract offered only a 30-day warranty, a fact that couldn't be misinterpreted. Just then, Logan's eyes swept the showroom again. Everything seemed normal, but he noticed the manager, likely a senior supervisor, sitting behind a glass office wall, eyes glued to his phone, oblivious to what was happening out on the floor. He saw an elderly customer at the service desk arguing with a staff member about a denied return, and no one seemed to care. It was all a performance, and the director's chair had been empty for a very long time. Jade glanced at Logan, as if wanting to say more, but she stopped herself. Her lips tightened when she caught Travis's stare, this time without the smile. Logan recognized that look. He understood. She was being silently warned, right there in plain sight, in the middle of a crowded showroom. And suddenly it became clear. This wasn't just one misstep. This was a system. As Logan followed Travis into the customer lounge to review the price sheet, Jade slipped something into his hand. A small folded piece of paper, passed so subtly it felt like nothing more than a business card exchange. He didn't open it immediately. He tucked it into his coat pocket. But once he sat down, he opened it discreetly. Written in hurried blue ink were 4 words. "They fake the contracts." Just 4 words, but they hit like lightning on a clear day. Logan clenched the note in his hand. The game had truly begun. Travis sat across from Logan in a small room that smelled faintly of paper and cheap glass cleaner, his hand spinning a pen across the contract like a nervous tick. He rushed through the pages, skipping over fabricated warranty terms with the tone of someone who was just trying to save you some time. Logan remained silent, nodding like a customer ready to sign, one hand resting near the pocket where Jade's note still lay. The words echoed in his mind. They fake the contracts. He knew it was time to flip the board, not with words, but with something no one could deny. As soon as Travis placed the pen on the table, Logan calmly pushed it aside. He looked the salesman straight in the eye, then pulled out his phone. One swipe, and a recording began to play. Travis's voice, from just 2 minutes earlier, talking about a brand new engine replacement, and full 12-month warranty. Travis froze. "This is how you do business under the name Maxwell Motors?" Logan asked, his voice still calm, but now carrying a weight that couldn't be ignored. Travis squinted, his confidence slipping. "Who are you?" he asked. Logan didn't answer right away. Instead, he stood up, removed his beanie, took off his sunglasses, and adjusted the collar of his coat. When he lifted his head, the overhead light caught his face, the face every employee here had seen at least once in internal newsletters, on training posters, even in the annual New Year address sent across the entire company. Logan Maxwell, Chief Executive Officer and founder of Maxwell Motors. Travis stumbled backward, his chair toppling to the floor. The room fell into a breathless silence. "You just sold a lie to the man who built this company," Logan said, his words sharp and deliberate. "Not just one lie, but 3. About the truck's condition, the warranty, and your professional ethics." Travis stammered, but before he could get a word out, a chime rang from the showroom, the front door opening. A young customer holding a phone walked in, live streaming. "Guys, I think that's Mr. Logan Maxwell in the sales room, and he's confronting a salesman." Within 10 seconds, the camera panned to the glass-walled room where Logan now stood, no longer hidden. Another employee approached the door, caught sight of him, then backed away and whispered into the ear of the floor manager, who immediately removed his earbuds and stood up. The live stream spread. Customers in the showroom started murmuring, all eyes turning toward they'd assumed was just some old guy who wandered in. Logan opened the door and stepped out, his gaze sweeping across every face in the room. A silent declaration that needed no words. The receptionist went pale, offering a nervous bow. Far too late. A woman stepped forward hesitantly. "Sir, is it true? Are you Mr. Maxwell?" He gave a slight nod. "And what you're seeing right now is exactly why I had to come here in silence." The live stream exploded across social media in under 2 hours, titled, "CEO Gets Scammed by His Own Salesman. What Happens Next is Shocking." Automotive and financial news outlets picked it up, tagging the story with #Maxwell Reveal. The content didn't just shake the dealership's reputation, it forced Logan into a position where swift, decisive, and unforgiving action was the only option. He walked straight to the reception desk, stared down the receptionist with a cold, unwavering look, and said, "Gather every employee in the building to the showroom floor, right now." The second-floor meeting room of the showroom, once reserved for sales presentations and employee awards, had suddenly become the most tense battleground since the day the location opened. Logan sat at the head of the table, his fingers interlocked, his gaze as cold as steel. Beside him sat Jade, the only employee who had dared to speak the truth. Across from them sat Lucian Ray, the branch manager once praised as the architect of growth. But at this moment, his face no longer held the polished confidence he was known for. The stage lights were gone, the branded backdrop nowhere in sight. Only the truth remained. "Lucian," Logan began, his voice low, every word carrying weight. "I sat out there disguised as a customer, and I was lied to." Lucian shifted in his chair, trying to smile politely. "Sir, I sincerely apologize for that experience, but I believe it was an isolated incident involving Travis. I will deal with him immediately." Logan didn't move. He simply opened the laptop before him, turned the screen toward Lucien, and pressed play. A series of internal emails appeared, all from within the branch, including customer complaints about being pressured into signing altered contracts, being advised to purchase warranty packages that didn't exist, and most notably, a message from Lucian to Travis 2 weeks earlier. As long as the numbers look good, just be flexible. Logan paused the playback, tilted his head, and asked, "This is what you call flexible?" Lucian's face drained of color. I didn't think he'd push it that far. When you say be flexible, but don't monitor, don't audit, don't review contracts, you're not just allowing people to cross the line. You're the one who drew it, Logan said, his voice calm, yet chilling. So tell me, how many times have you been flexible? Lucien began to fumble. I don't have specific numbers. I trust my staff. Well, I don't trust the system you're running, Logan cut in, because a healthy system shouldn't require its CEO to pose as a customer to uncover the lies within it. As the interrogation continued, Jade received a message from a friend at another branch. What Lucien did in Chicago, he did here too. He even trained the sales team on how to adjust contract values to dodge audits from headquarters. Jade passed the phone to Logan. He skimmed it quickly, gave a slight nod. I'm not just standing here as a customer who was deceived. I'm standing here as a CEO discovering a disease spreading within the very company I built. Lucien made a final attempt to defend himself. I've delivered the best regional sales numbers 3 quarters in a row. If there have been mistakes, I take full responsibility, and you already had the chance to correct them, Logan interrupted, and you used it to keep painting over the cracks. He turned toward Jade. She is the only one here who still holds onto her conscience. No seniority required, no degrees needed. Just the courage not to stay silent. He stood and concluded, Lucien, you are suspended effective immediately. A full internal investigation will be launched, and as for me, I will personally clean the house of the brand I spent my youth building. The meeting room was now empty. Only Logan and Jade remained. The young woman still stood, her hands tightly clasped together, her eyes shimmering, not with pride, but with fear. She had just done the right thing. But in a system where integrity was often seen as an inconvenience, doing the right thing didn't always mean staying safe. Logan watched her for a long moment before speaking. Do you know why I'm here? Jade shook her head slightly. I'm not sure. I just knew I couldn't stay silent any longer. He nodded. And you also knew that could cost you your job, isolate you, even get you pushed out. Jade swallowed hard and answered softly, I've already been pushed out in my own way, but I couldn't stand watching customers get deceived. And I really couldn't stand seeing Travis smile every time someone signed a contract he knew was wrong. She lowered her head. I didn't do it for praise. I just didn't want to feel like a coward. Logan walked over to the table, opened his briefcase, and took out a folder. He slid it toward her. These are all the complaints from the past 3 months. I reviewed and analyzed each one. There's one common thread. Every single one came from transactions you weren't involved in. Jade froze. You mean? I mean, Logan said slowly. You are the only salesperson here with 0 customer complaints. Jade looked confused. But I'm just a regular sales rep. I don't know how to manage. I don't know how to lead strategy meetings. Logan cut her off. I don't need someone who knows how to give presentations. I need someone with ethics. He looked her straight in the eyes. I want you to temporarily step into the role of internal supervisor for the next 2 weeks. Redesign the sales process. Propose a new reward structure. Most importantly, I want you to help identify who really deserves to rebuild this showroom. Jade stepped back. I don't know if I can. Logan smiled. the first genuine smile since he walked into this branch. I used to think I wasn't fit to lead the company after my father passed. But then I realized, sometimes leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about being the first to ask the right question. Just then, Jade's phone buzzed. A message from a former employee who used to work at another location. It read, in just 3 short lines, "Jade, I saw your video. Thank you for speaking up. If you need someone to stand beside you now, I'm ready." She looked up, for the first time meeting Logan's gaze without hesitation, but with the eyes of someone ready to step into a battle she had only dared to watch from the sidelines until now. At 10 a.m. the next morning, the atmosphere inside Branch 5 of the showroom was unusually quiet. The employees who normally lingered around the coffee counter now stood upright. Those who used to avoid eye contact with customers now silently wondered if they were being watched. The rumor of the CEO's undercover visit had spread across the company's internal network overnight. And now he was here. No disguise, no shadows. Logan Maxwell stood in the center of the main floor, Jade beside him in a freshly pressed uniform. But for the first time, her name tag no longer read Sales Assistant. Today it read Acting Supervisor. Logan raised his hand, signaling there was no need for a microphone. His voice wasn't loud, but it was quiet enough that every person could hear him clearly. "I don't have a long speech. I only have one question for all of you here. Do you want to keep working in a place where lies are rewarded and honesty is punished?" Silence settled like the season's first snow. Logan took slow steps, his gaze sweeping across every face. "You don't need to answer me. I already got my answer yesterday, in the way people looked away, in the fear I saw. Not because I'm the CEO, but because deep down, you knew you had stayed silent for too long." He paused and took a deep breath. "I'm not here to fire everyone, but I'm not here to compromise either. We will start over. Every transaction will be reviewed. Any customer who was pressured, misled, or tricked into a warranty will be contacted, apologized to, and refunded if necessary." A few murmurs rippled from the back. Logan didn't flinch. "All staff will undergo retraining, not in sales tactics, but in business ethics. Anyone who refuses, or still thinks this is just a job, will be invited to leave." One employee in the corner, Travis's former assistant, tried to pull out his phone to record, but was immediately called out by an older customer standing at the front desk. "You better listen. I'm the one you tricked into a double-interest loan agreement." No one expected it. The customer had returned after seeing yesterday's live stream. Logan continued, his voice now steadier, calmer. "We used to take pride in the Maxwell values. But values aren't printed on wall slogans. They're measured in how we treat the vulnerable when no one is watching." He stepped aside, giving the floor to Jade. "Starting today, she will lead this transition. The only one who stood in the middle of deception without lowering her head. She will review every shift, every contract, and every member of this team." Jade stepped forward, her voice still shaking, but her eyes steady. "I can't promise I'll get everything right, but I promise I won't repeat what was wrong." A solitary clap echoed from the back left. It was an older maintenance technician. Then another, from a young receptionist who had been overlooked by Travis for 4 months. Within seconds, the entire showroom erupted. Not applause for Jade, but the sound of people breathing again, for the first time in years. Logan watched the scene unfold and nodded softly. Then he turned and walked away, without saying another word. On his way out, he paused at the front desk. pulling out a small wooden plaque that had been removed 3 years earlier when the showroom was streamlined. He placed it back on the counter. Etched into it was a simple line: "We sell cars here, but it's keeping our word that keeps our customers." A system can be run by procedures, but it is sustained by conscience. Logan didn't need a boardroom to lead. He needed a just cause and someone brave enough to stand beside him. And sometimes, a simple phrase like, "That's not true," can be the beginning of a major transformation. If you believe that fairness doesn't require a title, then like this video, subscribe so you never miss a story that challenges expectations, and don't forget to leave a comment with the words, "Just choose right," because choosing what's right at the right moment can change everything about the future.